Hello everybody, welcome to Nature's People. Thank you for tuning in. In today's video, I'm going to talk about a very interesting topic, which is, are Black Americans racist toward white Americans? Are Black Americans racist towards white Americans? Really interesting topic because, well, in my previous video, I talked about the reverse. So, where white Americans racist towards Black Americans. So I'm going to give an insight on my personal perspective of living in with both Black Americans, African Americans, as well as white Americans, and seeing how they were using to treat each other and sort of engage with each other. Right. First and foremost, one of the things I have to say prior to everything is that I noticed that this same term called racism is more of a broader. It's englobed as a broader thing. However, it's more particular and more single, more personal in nature. So a lot of people tend to globalize or sort of generalize racial attitudes of certain groups of people. However, I don't think it's that way, based off my personal perspective and having lived in many places around the world. Now, me personally, I haven't experienced racism in the first place, nowhere in the world. I have a video about that in my previous video. Go check it out. Probably I'll leave it in the description below. However, one of the things I have to say is that Black Americans, some Black Americans, not all, most Black Americans don't have any problem with white Americans, with white people, which is really positive, really positive. It sort of englobes this common concept of livelihood, nationhood, and brotherhood, and living in the same society, sharing the same space and all. However, this is the thing I have to say. I've noticed that Black Americans in general were doing really great as far as inclusiveness. Like, you'd see people doing really tough jobs. Like, in my perspective, all the jobs that I've seen people doing, like you get into the buses, the transport system, even in the mornings, in most of the states that have quite a significant population of blacks, you'd see that the people that are waking up in the mornings, going to hustle, going to work, were the blacks. And that sort of keeps a sort of perspective or a mindset that probably it's because blacks are taking the blue-collar jobs, the harder jobs, the low-paid jobs. But that's one perspective. However, if you look at it in a different perspective, is that people are just enjoy struggle and hardship. It's not hardship per se, but it's that momentum of keeping things going, keep the roof over their heads, and trying to survive and make things better and cool. Now, with that being said, I've seen that some of the people that had particular jobs, especially blacks, on the backside, they had this tendency of speaking badly about their bosses and the authority. One of the causes of that, I think, is probably because no one wants to be a subordinate and be working for somebody their whole lives and living like they're under this under this concept of subjugation and suppression. So it's really positive that people have this mindset. However, it's also hard to understand that if you don't like somebody because it's over you, I mean, you can change, or you can try to take over his position, or you can try to do anything better, you can try to do anything more positive. So it's sort of strange and bad. Now, on a personal perspective, I did not notice, because I'm not white myself. If you stay tuned, you'll probably notice that over time, or when I make better videos, or videos where I'm exposing my face, you'll notice that I'm a black person of African origin. So I really can't really tell in first hand whether, I mean, I'd experience, because I would have to have, take the shoes of that particular race to experience racism in the first place as being white. Now, based on the stories I've heard from white American friends that I met, they told me that during their infant times, they had these lapses of periods where people would outright, black people, would outright tell them that they were the cause of the friction that is going on between them. Like they brought this slavery thing. And for those of you guys who want to know about the history of slavery, I want to tell you guys the history of slavery in an African perspective, because the perspective that is out there is the one told by Europeans, by Americans. But in Africa we had this, there is this concept of storytelling and records, archives, and in those archives there's all information regarding what actually happened in slavery. So I'll give that in a further video, in a future video. But for now, continuing, these white American friends, they sort of told me at times that they had really experienced periods of I don't know, discomfort, and people who just spit it out on their faces. However, one thing I have to mention, most African Americans that are stable, they have their quality lives, superstars, they don't have time for that. All they think about is money. Mayweather is not concerned about race. I don't think Mike Tyson is either. The coach of Mike Tyson was white. I mean, so most people, according to my friend, my white American friends, they say most of them people had problems like substance abuse, an unstable life, a life of discomfort, a life of a non-regular life. So that brings a concept of what actually brings how actually people can judge and pinpoint certain attitudes in people that are sort of bad and derogative. So I mean, on a personal perspective, now talking about being besides a white person and going out to chill and whatnot, I personally say in certain states I noticed that I would get some stares, and people would stare at me, but not necessarily as in this black guy is hanging out with white people. No, most of the people that stared were mostly foreigners, and some Latin Americans also stared. But besides that, not really anything, because I mean, the U.S. is a multinational, multicultural, multi-ethnic society. So for last note to finish up the video, on a sort of conclusion or finalizing note, I personally don't think there's racism of black Americans towards white Americans. Black people in America, I mean, they have their own culture, something that I respect. It's quite hard to understand at the beginning because it's a culture or attitude that is really framed on a platform based on robustness, vividness, a solidified persona in most of the people, that sort of creates a blockade or just an opaque structure to relate to the person, engage, make friends. So it's a little bit difficult to make friends with African Americans if you're a foreigner. It doesn't matter if you're black, it doesn't matter if you're white, regardless of race. It's a little bit hard. But however, the moment you start understanding, you start engaging with them, it's the best thing ever. One fun fact I have to say about African Americans that was really impressive for me is their sense of humor. It's incredible. They're really, really funny people, really engaging people, really nice people. All right, guys, I don't think this video was really that good. Anyways, I think you got something for the day, and please share, like, and subscribe, and stay tuned to Nature's People videos every day, non-stop, and see you in the next one. Bye for now. Ooh, look at the skies.